this cute kid in Senegal. This guy actually fell off his donkey.
If you slow down, you'll be left for dust. The 2008 Dakar Rally, the ultimate test of speed and endurance through Africa's toughest terrain. Daily highlights from the 5th of January, exclusive to Supersport. Proudly brought to you by Total South Africa.
1987, the Oriol-Nouveau duel. 1987, for the first edition without Thierry Sabine, two extraordinary riders, Hubert Oriol and Cyril Nouveau, put on a legendary battle right up until Dakar. And on this, the first day of the new year, no one imagined they were to witness one of the greatest duels in the history of the rally. Cyril Nouveau had already won the event 4 times. Hubert Oriol twice. There was also 1984 and 85 winner Gaston Rahir. Between the three, they had won every edition of the Dakar to date. But after being in the fight, the Belgian could no longer follow the extraordinary pace of the other two. Hubert Oriol won 2 stages. Oriol made up lost ground. Cyril Nouveau dominated the standings. The rally wasn't yet at the halfway point of the 13,000-kilometre route, and everyone began to sense that the win would be decided by one of these two men. And no one disturbed this duel that was now in full swing. At each checkpoint, the two were neck and neck. But at Timbuktu, Nouveau was in the overall lead with a 30-minute gap.
Aujourd'hui, c'est une première. Tombouctou-Néma par une piste que nous n'avons jamais empruntée, dont René va vous entretenir dans le détail. Vous traversez un pont en bois et tout de suite après le pont en bois, c'est à droite. Alors la recommandation, vous passez vraiment au milieu d'un village de tentes. En fait, attention particulièrement là. En plus, c'est pas facile de naviguer, il y a des embranchements un peu partout. Donc allez doucement.
The stage from Timbuktu to Nema marked the debut of the battle that would increase in intensity day after day and write yet another unforgettable chapter in the history of the Dakar. On this stage, everything was done by navigation, and Cyril Nouveau searched for his way in the village mentioned in the bivouac. But he was far from being alone, because everyone wondered which track they were to follow. There was a lot of hesitation. Oriol and Nouveau rode together. Each watched the other and waited for the mistake. And in this long search for direction, Cyril Nouveau ended up stuck in the sand. At nearly the same moment, Hubert Oriol made a choice, and it was the right one. He found his way out of this complicated maze. He headed toward Nema, and he was very much alone.
Arrivé là, apparemment t'es tout seul.
J'espère, ouais. Puis j'espère que ça va durer.
Pourquoi c'était dur la nave?
Ouais, j'ai refait la route ce matin, puis en cherchant un puits, ils sont tous partis. Je suis tombé en rattrapant Joanneau.
The riders began to arrive, but Cyril Nouveau had still not pitched up. The minutes passed. The tension at the finish line was of little interest to the men of the desert who were not concerned with this race against the clock. 40 minutes, 45, 50, 1 hour, and Cyril Neveu finally arrived.
Ouais, ça fait 1 heure qu'il est là.
A broken Cyril Neveu lost 41 minutes the next day as well, and was more than an hour behind in 10th place overall. But a railroad line would give him reason for hope. This line was used by the train to transport iron from Mauritania. Between Attar and Nouadhibou, Cyril Neveu rode in excess of 160 kilometers an hour. Hubert Auriol stopped. He had a string of punches that cost him a considerable amount of time. Cyril Neveu was about to learn what was happening.
Non, non, et Hubert, il est loin.
Il a crevé.
Il a crevé? Oh putain.
Cyril Neveu upped his pace once again. Hubert Auriol was under pressure. He was taking risks at every turn. The gaps kept changing from one stop to the next.
J'ai encore crevé. J'ai encore un quart d'heure. J'ai encore crevé. Ça fait combien de temps qu'il est passé l'autre?
5 ans.
The duel took on an intensity of its own. Both had been running flat out for several days, but at this moment, here, in everyone's opinion, they had taken their riding to another dimension.
Et à l'essence, quand l'hélico m'a dit qu'Hubert avait crevé, alors là j'ai attaqué comme un calu.
And still everyone wondered who the actual leader was.
Je pense que 10 minutes ça suffit.
During the following stage, Cyril Neveu picked up 60 more seconds in another amazing two-man duel. And at the start of the penultimate stage, Auriol had a 98-minute advantage. This stage was no different from the others. Neveu and Auriol were in their own little world. Cyril Neveu won at Saint-Louis. But Auriol was late. Cyril Neveu waited along the side of the track. This delay was incomprehensible. Unbelievably, Auriol had suffered a heavy crash just 20 kilometers from the finish. And despite the excruciating pain, he rode on.
voulais remercier René pour ce rallye. C'était vraiment un rallye sublime. On s'est battu, c'était génial avec Cyril. Il est plus fort. J'arrête la moto. C'est tout ce que j'ai à dire.
Cyril Neveu, who won his 5th and final Dakar, declared, "One of us had to win, and unfortunately, it was me." 1988, the Algerian desert swallows the Dakar.